What?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. We'll highlight all that. Don't you worry.
Just
But of
saying,
course,
you gotta remind people. You want to get
Subscribe right now.
subscribe.
subscribe. Of course.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
The one place that I really want to go to actually is I would totally go to like Lollapalooza. I don't understand the concept of like people wanting to, and like it's a different concert setup, but like why would people want to go to Coachella and camp? I don't really like get the vibe, and also like I don't know many of the artists sometimes that are playing. Like I'd go to Go Ball every year if I could, but I'll only know like 4 or 5 artists. But honestly, Brooklyn Mirage, we should go for Marshmallow. They're kind of sick.
That would be a lot of fun. I think I heard someone say to me in high school that like he only has one good song. I'm like, what are you talking about? He like a lot of his songs are actually, if that's what you want to call them, are really good. Like he has a lot of really good stuff. Like I think it's like here's the thing. Like for me, when it comes to music, especially like EDM, because that's what I mostly listen to.
Mhm.
Most of it, it's not that I'm listening to artists. I just find like a bunch of songs through Spotify. So it's not like an actual artist that I listen to. It's more just like the style of EDM that it is.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but you listen to like softer stuff because like Marshmallow isn't like hard style, like in your face, like blaring kind of stuff. It's very
It's not
relatively calm.
like there's like dubstep, which is
Yeah.
like, I don't. That's like way too intense for me. I don't even know if intense is the right word, but it's just like I don't know. Like I don't know, but yeah, I'm more of like a lighter, like a medium to like light kind of guy, if that makes sense.
My only thing with EDM is like I don't even like, and again I don't know enough about house music to like give you a sense of what exactly it is, but like between softer stuff like oh god, I'm trying to even like find like a song like Atlantis is a good probably a good example. Something that's like a little bit later.
Like Jonas Blue has a lot of has like a lot
Exactly.
of, you know,
like more mellow stuff, but then also like shit that I can jam to in the gym when I'm lifting.
like
If
a
I
Martin
can
Garrix. Martin Garrix.
yeah, exactly. Like the 2 classic songs that we used to always play in high school was Freaks with Timmy Trumpet and Tremor, which was like the song that I would just absolutely go fucking crazy with on the squat rack. Like that was the core junior year of high school aesthetic of just me going to town, the Beats headphones in ear because I couldn't afford the first gen AirPods. Dude, that shit was absolutely freaking insane. But no, I like that's the thing. If I could find a good set list of somewhere I want to go to, I would totally do it. Just gotta find the right time. But we're gonna go to Brooklyn Mirage at some point in the summer. Probably go see Marshmallow. We'll see who else is playing. Don Diablo would be pretty cool.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high quality clothing from t-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
Scottie Scheffler with the miracle on grass. It costs a lot of freaking money to go qualify for the Wyndham Championship, and a lot of guys are on the cut line to see if they'll make the 2024 FedEx Cup Playoffs. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in to the Get in the Hole podcast. Stephen McAvoy podcast. What did I say? Stephen McAvoy, Ben Pirro here with you today, coming to you live from the Underground, a part of Underground Sports Philadelphia's podcast network, streaming live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you can get your favorite podcasts. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and, of course, betting tips from across the golfing world, including the PGA Tour, LPGA, Corn Ferry, and Live Golf Tours. Proudly presented to you today and every day by our friends over at Tomahawk Shades, known locally on Long Island as some of the best small batch eyewear in the industry. We think it's even nationwide. Founded here on Long Island, just 10 minutes down from my house, right by some of the biggest personalities in sports, including Chris Hogan, Kyle Harrison, John Jay, and Paige Spiranek. Tomahawk Shades is guaranteed to keep you looking fresh from the first hole to the 18th green and beyond. Head to TomahawkShades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app on the App Store or Google Play Store and browse their selection of sunglasses, blue light plus glasses, and prescription lenses. And be sure to use code USP for 25% off your next order at TomahawkShades.com and the Tomahawk Shades app. Recording every Monday here in the Underground. Once again, I'm your host, Steve McAvoy. Joining me back in the seat is Ben Pirro. You can find him on Instagram at PC Pirro, and you can find myself on Instagram and Twitter at Real Steve McAvoy. Ben, first of all, before we got into our whole talk on house music and the like, we got into bless you.
Thank you.
Sick as a dog, Ben Pirro. We got into talking about your journey so far this week, going up to Rhode Island for the Rhode Island Open, and we were shocked to find out how much it costs to qualify for some of these events, or even just like sign up for them. I was going through the numbers on what it costs for the Wyndham Championship Monday Q this week, and it could run you anywhere from $0 if you're a member of the tour, $100 if you're a member of any other outside tour that isn't the PGA Tour, or up to $500 for just about anybody else, including those who went through pre-qualifying, whatever the money is on that, plus $250 for this. I'm shocked to find out that it costs so much money to even go to a Monday Q and basically play 18 holes and not even guarantee that you'd even snuff the top 5.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so for pre and Monday qualifying for PGA Tour event, they have essentially they have 2 different stages for if you have to qualify for the PGA Tour event. There's the pre-qualifier, which costs $250 if you're a non-member, and then another $250 if you get through the pre-qualifier for you to play in the Monday. And then now normally what happens is if you are automatically in the Monday, at most you're going to end up paying. The most you're going to end up paying most likely is $250. The tour members will pay normally at $0 to $100 depending on what their status is. It's interesting because a lot of these courses just are not that good at all that they have these Monday qualifiers on, and they would never ever in the modern day have a PGA Tour event at these courses just based on the difficulty level, the conditions. I mean, now for a Corn Ferry qualifier, because there's only one qualifier per se. Now there's different sites because there's usually 2 sites per Corn Ferry qualifier, but there's one stage. It's $500 if you're a non-member, and not only is it $500, it's $500 and you have to shoot 64. Okay, I want you to think about that. And so I heard a story about this guy one time. He played the Corn Ferry qualifier. Now you have to go shoot 63, 64 if you want to get in. He bogeyed his first 2 holes and he left. He's just statistically, I'm probably not going to make it. So he just said, fuck it. And he left. And so I guess that's kind of the beauty of a qualifier is if you don't have it, you can just leave. But at the end of the day, these organizations, they really do make a lot of money off of these players. And look, you did bring up a good point before about how, because, in the Rhode Island Open, for example, they also have to pay the players. Okay? Yeah. Whereas in amateur golf, they're able to get really nice courses. One of the reasons is because they don't have to pay the players. They pay themselves and they pay the course. And so, it helps. That's one of the advantages, I guess you could say, that in amateur golf that they have, which is why in a tournament like the Ike, for example, which is one of our bigger tournaments in the Met section, when I played the Ike, it was at Purchase Country Club, Meadowbrook Country Club, Meadowbrook, the Bridge. I mean, those are historic golf courses, and they're incredible venues all in their own right. Whereas this week at the Rhode Island Open, it's, for me, it was over $400 to get in. And, I'm interested to see what they do regarding the fairways. There's a lot of dead patches with rocks. Nothing was marked off. And, you would sit there and you'd be like, if I'm going to pay over $400, now, mind you, as an out-of-state person, so it would be more than that. But again, I feel like most of the people are out of state because Rhode Island is not really that big of a state to begin with. It's like, really? Like, this is like the quality of golf course that we're going to be playing? I mean,
Yeah.
for me, like, it's in pro golf. I think I said this a long time ago when I first turned pro and you had me on the podcast. Like, the quality of golf courses are not good in pro golf at the minor league levels. They're not. I mean, this summer I could just rattle them off. I mean, Long Island Open was impeccable, and then you went to Vermont, which is a dump. New Hampshire's good. Western Mass was very good. New York State Open was very good. And then it's just like Rhode Island is like below average. Providence Open is below average. And it's like, yeah, like you do get nice courses, but more often than not, they're not really up to the standards of what you would hope pro golf is. And it's a lot like minor league baseball. I mean, like you said before, like these guys who are studs and they end up going like Vandy or Tennessee or Texas, Ole Miss, whatever. And, you know, they have like the best facilities ever. And then they get drafted. They go into like hypothetically high A ball. And like, unless you're like the Met, unless like you're playing for like the Brooklyn Cyclones, like most.
Even then, though.
Like, even then, like you're playing in like these small towns. Your facilities are so shitty. Like, you don't have the training staff. Like, you travel like crap too. Like, you're traveling in buses. You rarely fly. Like, especially like at the lower levels of minor league baseball, like low A and high A. So it's quite interesting how, you know, and look, like I get it, you know, like the days of pro golf being played at the majority of minor league pro golf being played at nice courses is pretty much over. Because back in the day, like even on the Moonlight Tour, which is the tour that I really started out on when I was playing, I mean, the guy who runs the tour, he had courses like Falcons Fire, Orange Tree, Champions Gate. Like, those are legitimate good golf courses. Orange Tree is so legit. Tiger Woods used to show up there when he lived in the Orlando area in Windermere. Like, Tiger Woods used to go there. So, like, you know, it's legit. And now, like, he's playing. Now he has his courses at like Wedgwood, Stony Brook West, which are like some of the worst courses in the Orlando area. I mean, like, horrific. And so, you know, I think it just shows, like, I think the economy honestly has a lot to do with it as well, which is why you also see so many of these professional tours folding at such a rapid rate.
Yeah.
We always talk about in pro golf how like the only people that make the money in pro golf are the people who run the tournaments. They're the only ones that actually, like, they rip your eyes out. They do. Yeah. But it's a shame. Like, it is. But, you know, I'm excited for a good week this week.
Yeah, no, I think it's crazy how, and again, the idea that you're not paying your players in college, at least now, like NIL is a little bit different, but it's more through the collective than it is through the actual team. But like, you can afford, right, to go play like Ohio State's golf course. So, like, I know Quinnipiac used to always play a tournament at Yale's home club was New Haven Country Club, which is like gorgeous. So they go out, so they go play New Haven, and it's like incredible. And then I knew a girl who actually just she graduated from Quinnipiac. She was on the golf team. She actually just won. Let me look it up. She just won a women's AM tournament, I think. Where did she play that out? Oh, all right. So it's her home country club in Illinois. But like even then, you go play these courses as a aspiring pro, a young pro, and it's almost like in the comparative for the Long Islanders who are listening, it's like you go and play. I don't even want to say like West Sayville because it's a horrible golf course, but like something that's like middle of the road, but like Mill Pond, something that costs like $95 and it's like okay condition wise. Like, there's a golf course, there's way better options, but as you had alluded to, out in Rhode Island, you can go play in Newport or somewhere else, but the private membership is going to be annoyed they can't have 3 days on the golf course. They're going to be stuck. And not to say that it's on the pros that I've heard horror stories about people complaining how the pros like destroy golf courses when really that really isn't the case. I feel
No.
like if anything, like
No.
pros do a good job. It's the what?
Well, no, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, like, I think it's funny, especially because I've been around. Look, I've been very fortunate to be around private club golf my whole life. The people who complain about the facility are generally the ones that are not taking care of the facility.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's hysterical. Like, you will hear someone bitch and moan about how people don't fix their ball marks, and you will watch them hit into the green. You can see their ball mark, and they don't fix it. Or how people don't rake bunkers, and then you watch them head out of a bunker, and they don't rake the bunkers. Like, pros, we take care of, for the most part, pros take care of their own shit.
Yeah.
With the exception of, like, at Bethpage Black, on the last day, the one guy, one of the assistants from Westchester. Remember on hole 4 in the final round, like, someone didn't rake the bunker.
Oh my god, yeah, trapped in the bunker. Holy shit!
And like that's happened to me out there, but that is very much a rarity when it comes to pro golf. It's really like the members who like don't give a shit. Like, so I think that's a fallacy, and it's just like an excuse for the members to, like, because they have nothing better to do except just complain about everything. That's what they do. Like, they complain about everything.
Yeah.
Too easy, it's too hard. The greens are too fast. The greens are too slow. The bunkers have too many rocks in them. And, like, some of them are valid, you know. Like, I don't like having rocks in the bunker, you know. But, like, I think that it's unfortunate because, like, you guys, you play golf all the time. And, like, you can't give up your course for 3 days for some pros who, like, this is how, like, they, like, make their living. I think it's, like, I don't know. It's like it gets a hard eye roll for me. It does. It really does.
I agree. And also the common misnomer is that even pros, their caddies for pace of play reasons, don't always fill, like, divots in the fairway. They have somebody else doing it, but every now and then they'll miss one. So, like, it happens, and then you find a guy who gets caught in a divot on the fairway, and it's like, what the fuck? But it even happens in the program. I think it's a hilarious misnomer. But one person who was not complaining about anything this week was Scottie Scheffler, who I think it's safe to say now, and I'll pose the question before we even have to ask it later on. A win at the Olympics. He was in 5th place with 7 to play, down 6 strokes, and overtook Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, John Rahm, and Tommy Fleetwood to win by a stroke. Whether or not you want to complain and argue, oh, Fleetwood botched his chip on 17, and Rahm went 3 under in the last 5 holes, and Schauffele had a big double on 15, and Matsuyama just stayed in neutral. The guy shot 9 under in an Olympic final with 7 holes to play and went 6 under par. That's fucking ridiculous. He ties the course record at Le Golf National. Absolutely smothered the field this week, late in the week. You know, he gained in that final round 7 strokes better than the field, tee to green. That's more than anybody has gained in a singular round on the PGA Tour in like 4 years. No one's done that. And the last time that actually happened was when Patrick Cantlay and Bryson DeChambeau had their putt off at the BMW like 3 years ago. That was the last time we've seen someone gain that many strokes on the field. And this was 2 guys who just burned everybody. Scottie Scheffler absolutely burned everyone. I think it's safe to say that while it doesn't calculate into his odds to win the PGA Tour Player of the Year, I think it safely gives him the win, the way I see it.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to honor myself for picking him to win the gold. So you forgot to throw that in there. I'm only down 1 point now in beer money.
I picked Tommy for the silver. That was pretty spot on.
I know.
Because guess what? If I picked him for the gold, he would have bit me in the ass.
I want to know one thing though. What would you have done if now look, I was like, before I say this, I was not rooting for this to happen. I never root for players to fail. I root for players to play better than the other players. Hypothetically, what would you have done if he had like doubled 18 and that just shot him out of the silver? Like, what would you have done? Because if he had doubled 18, he would not have gotten the silver.
Yeah, I know.
Like, because then I would have been leading in beer money.
So to be quite honest, my actual initial thing. So I had placed 2 bets going into this week. I had bet Fleetwood to win, and I bet middle of the week after the first round, I bet Matsuyama to win too. I didn't think Scottie was going to do what he did on Sunday. I was actually, and again, this sounds horrible as like a nationalistic thing. I was actually hoping that Tommy won for my own bet, rooting against America to win a gold medal, which is very like anti-American for me. And yeah, if you want to come at me, come at me. But I had $20 riding on a $400 play for Tommy Fleetwood, so you can go suck it. Had he fallen out of the medal race, I would have gone probably nuts. I was actually I wasn't even thinking about it because I'm not sure if you watched much of it, but on 17, Tommy's drive went a little bit right. If on the first cut of rough, then he hit like a 7-iron and just it came off. The ball was sitting up well. It just whisked right out, and he sailed the green. Probably got an extra 5 or 7 yards on the actual shot. So now you're eyeing down an up and down for par. Just chip it close. You're one of the best short game guys on tour. And he blows it by 8 feet. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Fuck me. Putt misses, 3-foot putt. I'm like, is this guy going to actually fucking 3-putt? 3 putts. Falls down a stroke. It's him and Rahm. And Rahm's been shitting the bed the last 6 holes. I think he went bogey double on 14, 15, and 16 or 17. 17. He went double. Had to play well enough just to get him into the bronze conversation. Schauffele was already out of it because Schauffele had doubled 15 and just didn't get back any strokes on that. So I was like, all right, well, my bronze medal is out, but also your silver's out. So I'm like, all right, this could like work out. And then Rahm hits his drive left, and I'm like, oh god, he's gonna also screw this up, and it's gonna open the door for Fleetwood to drop another stroke and then go to bronze. But in my head, I did not think that Tommy was going to have an abysmal hooked second shot on approach, sails the green, and then basically has to chip in and hole out to win. And let's be honest, I knew for a fact that Scottie was not going to screw up that 2-putt to win. That was just a given that was going to happen. So, well, I'm not mad about the result. I wish there was a little bit more. Honestly, if there was anything that I wish really happened, it was Tom Kim finishing top 5, which would have gotten me just 1 point over. Also, with the whole thing about Tom Kim and his military service and everything going on, he was very emotional afterwards. Yeah. Just to have seen him play a little bit better and just get like that little bit more of an edge to get into the medal category, that would have been amazing, and also would have helped the picks too.
Yeah, I think going so kind of piggybacking, whatever it is.
Yes.
I'm not
words.
My brain is just not working.
It's fried. It's only Monday.
Well, yeah. Listen to me. Going kind of just analyzing 2 different players who one has achieved so much, and both have achieved a lot in their respective careers. That being Scottie Scheffler and Tommy Fleetwood. You knew coming down 18, there was no way Scottie was going to fuck it up.
No.
But you sat there and you're like, Tommy Fleetwood always fucks it up. Like, there's always something that happens, and it happened. And I think, and look, I'm not saying this to throw shade at Tommy. Tommy's one of my favorite players on tour. He's one of my favorite swings on tour. I think he's very underrated. But it just goes to show how wide the margin is between Scottie and everyone else. Because here's the thing. Scottie might not have it a particular week. Grant, okay? So it's not even hypothetically, like at the U.S. Open. He didn't really have it at the U.S. Open, okay? Yeah. He was very much like back of the pack for guys that made the cut. But he never puts himself in position and then folds. It's just that if he doesn't win, it's because he simply didn't have it that week. That's generally how it is. Whereas with Tommy, he puts himself in position a lot. And it just doesn't work out in his favor as often as you would think it does. And I think that just goes to show how wide, and that happens not just with Tommy Fleetwood, but I mean, look, I'm not discounting Xander Schauffele's 2 major wins this year, but that was like that was like the bugaboo with Xander as well. Like that was like the same thing. It's like, dude, how many backdoor top twos? Like how many backdoor tied for seconds are you gonna have? How many times are you gonna finish top 5 and just like have the lead through 54 holes? Like this happens a lot, and this just goes to show how really wide the gap is between Scottie and everyone else. Because coming down the stretch, that guy's gonna hit the shots that are necessary. He's gonna pull off the necessary shots that he needs to win. And if anyone's going to beat him, it's not because he's going to hand it to them. It's that they literally have to play better than him. He's one of the clutchest players on tour. He has the clutch gene. He does. He's got that, I used to say, like, Jon Rahm has the clutch gene. Well, I mean, Scottie definitely has it. Like, you can't – I can't think of a time where Scottie, didn't perform under pressure. At the end of a golf tournament. But that being said, as far as player of the year, the only player that can catch him would be Xander. He's the only one that could theoretically catch him just because Xander has 2 majors. And I think the only way for Xander to catch him is to win the FedEx Cup. That's the only way. And, that means that he would win the Tour Championship. Probably have to win another one. Probably have to win the Northern Trust or what? Not the Northern Trust, the FedEx St. Jude. And
or the BMW.
So, but it's a wide margin, man. It really is. Just physically, mentally, just the ability to hit the shots, just coming down the stretch. I mean, look, like as someone who has melted down under pressure themselves, it's a hard thing to do. But when he's walking down that fairway, you're like, yeah, there's just no way he fucks it up. Like he just doesn't do it. So
it's really funny, and I like literally reading you the text right here that I sent to a friend of mine. I literally text my friend Jack. I go, watch Tommy Fleetwood fuck this up.
Oh God, you spoke it into existence.
And I text him this literally after the tee shot on 18. And I go, what'd I tell you? He goes, how'd you know that? I go, believe me, with the amount of times that I bet on this man. Now, I realized something too. And again, this goes to show you the gap between Scottie and everybody else. Think of like the 5 guys who the entirety of the year, this is kind of acting almost as our year in review. The 5 players this year on the PGA Tour who we think have probably been the most consistent players on tour. It's Scottie, it's Xander. I would say Colin Morikawa it is in there. Tommy Fleetwood is roughly in there, and Wyndham Clark. The beginning half of the year, it's tailed off since. When you look at all of those guys, and I'm going to exclude
not Oberg
as well. I'm going to, but like for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to also exclude Wyndham Clark. The second half as in the same. Tommy Fleetwood is always in the conversation for a top 10. He's always hovering around the area. After 54 holes, no one has had more top 10s going into the final round than Tommy Fleetwood has this past year. Nobody. Xander Schauffele, while finally, for the first time in his career, he's been able to not only secure a major, he's won 2, but he's also been able to close more often than he has otherwise. For the longest time, it was always Xander Schauffele gets to, and I think back to 2021 or 2020, the 16th at Augusta, he has these tied for the lead with Zalatoris and Matsuyama, dunks it in the water. And it's like, all right, well, you literally just went to shit. Because now you make 5 on a par 3, and all of a sudden, now you're 2 back. You're not going to do anything on 17 or 18. And he simply lost it himself. Same thing has happened at multiple other events, Players' Championships, Memorial Tournaments, Bay Hill. It's happened all the time for Xander. Colin Morikawa, on the other hand, has been top 5 in every single major this year, top 5 at the Memorial, top 5 at Bay Hill, and hasn't been able to win. Why? He's so consistent, and you say it every week, his approach game is so spot on, but when you need him to make the one shot or the one putt, he doesn't do it. The only person the entirety of the year where if I give you any situation, no matter where you are, and honestly for the last 2.5 years, really, and again, I go back to the 2022 Masters, I watched Scottie Scheffler when he played Cameron Smith at the Masters, and I'm like, every single shot, it didn't matter from where it was, whether it was the first the first fairway when he chipped it out of the pine straw, got it to 3 feet and tapped in for birdie, or it's the last hole where you need him to hit it to 5 feet and he does. No, you can put anybody in any situation, and Scottie Scheffler was the only person who I would trust 100%, 10 out of 10 times to do it. No one else has been able to get to that very spot, and it's absolutely crazy to me.
No, I mean, you bring up a really good point, and you pretty much hit the nail on the head regarding Colin, because Colin's really good. Like, he's really, really good, but he's not spectacular.
Exactly.
And like, he will never shoot himself out of a tournament. He won't. Like in the final round of the PGA, right? He made what, 1 birdie and 17 pars, like, and he just quite simply didn't make anything. But the thing with him is, like, all of his putts that he was missing, they were just like kissing the side of the hole the whole time, and he was barely missing them, and he was having 1.5 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot tap ins, But and so he's really good, but he's not great. And like, look, he's a great player, but when we're just looking at PGA Tour players, when we're comparing them to Scottie's great. He's up here. Xander is probably the closest one, because he's either very good or great occasionally, but that great is occasionally. And, with Colin, I would say he's probably third out of those 3 guys, which is nothing to, like, that's still very much incredible, but he's very good. He's not that spectacular. With Xander, he has some, I'm just going to coin a word here, he has some spectacularisms about himself and about his game, but it's not nearly as often as Scottie. Scottie, he's more spectacular. He is like that final round of the Olympics. That is spectacular. Let's be honest, has Xander ever had a final round like that? I can't think of one off the top of my head. And that's not a knock on him. It's just that Scottie's that much better. And that's why after he won the Masters, that's why I said it's literally Scottie's world. Like, the gap between Scottie and everyone else it's astronomical. It's huge.
I saw a great tweet one day recently, and it was the beauty of golf. Like, you look at baseball, no one can throw a ball 102 miles an hour, and no one can hit a ball 480 feet. But in golf, you have that one chip that has like insane spin, or you have that one hole out from the bunker, or you have that like one like an ace, or that like crazy eagle from 110 yards out that like my friend hit at Timber Point last week. You have these moments of grandeur that you're like, wow, I can do that. Anybody can do that. You can't hit a ball 480 feet. You can't tackle a 300-pound man running 30 miles an hour at you. You can't dunk a basketball over a guy who's 7 feet tall. But in golf, you have those moments. And I think everybody in golf, every pro, of course, they're way better than myself, and even you to an extent. The fact that they still have those moments more often than not, but don't have it on the scale that Scottie Scheffler does. It's like those moments that always stick in your head, right? It's Tiger's chip in 2001. It's John Rahm's putt to force the playoff against DJ 3 years ago. It's Jack's putt at Augusta as well. There's all these different moments. Like, those are the things that make those people amazing. Like you said, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, you look at the whole leaderboard, no one's going to shoot themselves out of a match. John Rahm did in this case. Fleetwood did as well. Fleetwood actually also won't do it, but he'll have that one mistake that will cost him the entirety of the event, and it always happens in the final 4 holes. Colin will play a flawless round. He'll have 4 days of bogey-free golf. He'll gain 6 strokes on the field, but he loses a stroke putting, and all of a sudden that's the one chip on him. Hideki Matsuyama shot 6 under par in the final round. Otherwise, shot 8 under in the first round. He shot 3 under in the second round, and 1 under in the third round. Shot 6, so shot bookends 14 under for the first and fourth round. For the most part, that's good enough to win. If you shot a little bit better in the third round, just did not hit a couple more putts. That's just simply what it is. Scottie Scheffler is able to do everything, not even better than everybody else, just more effectively than everybody else.
More consistently too.
Exactly. He didn't putt the greatest this week. The final round was the only exception to the rule, but he gained almost 3 strokes on the entire field, tee to green, throughout the entirety of the week, which is like obscene. He gained 4 strokes tee to green. The next best was Rahm at a 2.77. On approach, he was the best player by half a stroke. Off the tee, he was third best, but overall, particularly in the fourth round, with the exception of Victor Perez, who almost matched him and shot 1 less than him, had a 3-stroke push on strokes gained total on the field. That's like, you don't see that ever. And it's amazing, really. That's all. And a couple other things that I want to get into also on the Olympics, just to kind of go over the main talking points. We got to talk about Jon Rahm's like meltdown and what's occurred with Jon Rahm post jumping to LIV. I feel like it's been a whole revelation of sorts. I picked him this past week to go top 5, or last week to go top 5. I was very bullish at the Open. I took him top 5. Something's up with Jon Rahm that I can't really seem to put my finger on. But the final 9, even when he was in the lead, at one point I believe he was at 20 under par, and just fell off all the way down to a final score of 15 under. Something just doesn't seem right, and I don't know if it's the competition level of LIV that's getting to his head, or it's the overall just struggle that he seems to be having. But there's something going on with the way he's playing and the way he's affected by the conditions that he's in or the people he's around. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, look, I think when you're I'm going to create a little bit of a parallel right now, okay? You and I are Mets fans, okay? Yeah. For those of you who are not Mets fans, you may not be familiar with this player, so I apologize. But if you're baseball junkies like us, you probably know about this player. Edwin Diaz, okay? Sure. So Edwin Diaz in 2022 had one of the greatest seasons ever by a closer, okay? One of the greatest seasons ever, okay? I mean, he was electric. You knew, regardless of the situation, whether he needed 3 outs, 6 outs, didn't matter. The guy was going to get the job done. And you just knew it when he would just run out from the bullpen to the mound. And then he got hurt, okay? And when you get hurt, there's a lot of time that you have, whether it's alone or just like in your own head, because you're like, oh my gosh, like, can I like continue to do this? Like, I don't know. And then he came back this year, and while he got up to a good start, he had a really rough stretch, and it really affected him. It affected his confidence. There was it was documented that in the clubhouse, you know, he was in tears after struggling so much and really like blowing a lead. Okay. And so the Mets were kind of like, look, dude, like, you were never going to be able to replicate that season. Okay. Like, that's abnormal. Okay. Like, you were going to have a little bit of a drop off. And the season that Rahm had that Rahm had last year, really, I believe it was last year, it was so good. There was going to be a little bit of a drop off in his game.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as like the results go. Now, look, the difference is he didn't have a significant injury like Diaz did. But that being said, he made a very significant change. And is it possible that the media maybe got to his head a little bit and they were like, you sold your soul to LIV, you sold your soul for the money, you're going to regret this decision, the competition isn't as good, and as a result, you're not going to be as good? Look, it's possible that could happen, that could have happened. I'm not in his head. I'm not in his inner circle. So I don't know that to be true. But when certain situations change, that can definitely affect the psyche a little bit too. Because right now he's playing, and the way he's playing, you don't recognize that player, if that makes sense. Even before he had that ridiculously great season last year on the PGA Tour, he was really, really good. He was really, really good. Like when he won the Masters on the final hole, he hit that pitch shot. It was ridiculous. But the fall off has been so steep so quickly. I think it has to do with probably just the change in scenery and maybe, just maybe, the outside noise is getting into his head. That's personally what I think.
Yeah.
If you agree, disagree, I'll be right back. Just a second.
Go ahead.
What's going on, everybody? This episode of the Get in the Hole podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Acorn Hills. And as the great Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn. Acorn Hills Company would like to add, it is what one does with that acorn that creates a better tomorrow, to the end of that quote. Nate, amazing guy. It was awesome meeting Nate when we first brought Acorn Hills on board and they got on board with us. The founder of Acorn Hills puts ink to the paper of this story with a vision he saw for a better tomorrow through clothing. As an outdoorsman himself, Nate set out to combine his two passions, looking good and the great outdoors, whatever that activity may be, by providing things such as biodegradable packaging and plantable clothing tags, which, if you haven't heard, are basically the coolest idea ever. We pay homage to our Acorn logo by practicing what we preach. Along with this, Acorn Hills focuses on giving back to its community by taking the initiative to help revitalize forests and areas of land that fill this great place we call Earth. With a percentage of sales donated to charities and organizations such as the National Forest Foundation and others that align with these goals, we create this better tomorrow. People have asked, why choose clothing? It's simple, really. When you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do good. We just help you get there. Although Nate may have been alone when he started this, our roots now run very deep. You'll never look at acorns the same way again, huh? You're welcome. You guys can go to acornhillsco.com. Check out all the awesome apparel and merchandise they have available to you. And when you go to checkout, use code GITH15. That's GITH15 for 15% off your next order from our friends at Acorn Hills. And look your best from the ground up. Now, let's get back into the episode.
No, so I was thinking about this because Brandel Chambly on Golf Central was talking about it like shortly after the final, and he had called it the biggest collapse or biggest choke of the year, probably right next to Rory McIlroy coming down the stretch at the U.S. Open. And it got me thinking. He had said later on, quote, Jon Rahm looked so solid the first 3.5 rounds, leading the field in fairways hit, leading the field in driving distance, leading the field in greens and reg. But the demons that has plagued him over the last about year is that double cross. And we saw it a little bit at the 8th, but it visited him notably on the back 9 in several key instances. And of course, you have the odd 3-putt here or there. So losing a 4-shot lead, not even meddling, by the way, with a 4-shot lead. Rahm had said afterward that the crowd was great, the week was great, the course was fantastic. It's just there's basically a 4-hole stretch where I could say I wasn't happy. Besides that, it's been a really good tournament. There's still a lot to be proud of, and this is something that's going to sting for a while. I don't really know if it's a mental thing or if it's just the idea that he hasn't had to face such challenging competition and has had to be put into a situation where he needs to overcome a lot more than simply beating out 3 or 4 guys in a field on a given week. Not for nothing. Like, you look at the LIVGolf schedule, and I'll pull up a couple of the recent events to like see where Rahm has finished. To be quite honest with you, I haven't really watched any of it. But if you look at stuff like, let's say, what we saw in... Oh, let me pull it up. If we look at the previous schedule for the week, and we go back to, let's say, Spain, right? So we look at the players here. Rahm finished 10th, shot 2 under. Even par for the week. Finished behind Bryson, Joaquin Niemann, Cameron Smith, Louis Oosthuizen, Patrick Reed, Tyrrell Hatton, Anirban Lahiri, and Sergio Garcia. Prior to that, the past couple of weeks when he won at the UK, had to knock out Joaquin Niemann, Cameron Smith, Tyrrell Hatton, and Paul Casey for the top 5. He won in Houston. He finished. Where are we? Did not play well at all in Houston, apparently, or didn't play at all. He withdrew out in Houston after a handful of holes. He finished 10th at Singapore behind Kevin Na, Joaquin Niemann, Dustin Johnson, Thomas Peters, Hatton, Gooch, Leishman, Smith, and Koepka. In Australia, finished 4th behind Schwartzel, Oosthuizen, and Steele. He doesn't have to take on a field of Schauffele and Matsuyama and Fleetwood and Scheffler on any given week. He, at that point, and then even on top of that, McIlroy and Højgaard and Kim, who was on his tails, he was at a point where he knew he had to make a move. He had gone down 3 holes, an odd 3 putt here and there, a missed chip here. All of a sudden finds himself at 17 under par, realizes, oh shit, I'm down 2 strokes to Scottie, needs to make a move, but just did not seem in the right headspace to go the distance. I'm not going to say it's the 3 rounds that LIV plays, but it seems like for most LIV players, with the exception at majors, it's that 4th day that seems to get to everybody a little bit. It got to Phil a little bit at the Masters this past year. It's gotten to DJ in multiple stages. It didn't necessarily get to Bryson this past year much. Of course, he won the U.S. Open, but even at the Masters, started to tail off a little bit that 3rd and 4th day. Brooks Koepka hasn't looked the very same in late 3rd, early 4th rounds so far this year. It might be the case. It might just be the field level. It might be the compete that's in Jon Rahm. I don't really know. But at the end of the day, it does seem to be something very much up with his psyche that he needs to figure out. And I hope this isn't a matter of Brandel Chambly being right, or not even that, saying something that's almost like too hurtful to Rahm, because at the end of the day, we're all human, and we don't want to be called out on our stuff if there really is an underlying issue. The only final thing I want to bring up here in the Olympic wrap-up is Tom Kim. Finished T8th, did miss out on the podium. Of course, the story circulating around with Tom Kim and what's to happen to him had he not medaled. Of course, in South Korea, as we mentioned 4 years ago on the show previously, when Sungjae Im and Siwoo Kim were playing in the Olympics, every single able-bodied man in South Korea must serve a 18-month, 21-month military service between the ages of 18 and 31. Tom Kim being only 22 years old, he does have more opportunities to get out of his military service. The exemption to that would be to medal at a Olympic Games or now the Asian Games, which only as of 2 years ago allowed pro athletes to compete. 2 years ago in the Asian Games, Siwoo Kim and Sungjae Im actually won the team event, and therefore were able to get exemptions for their military service. So Tom Kim will get a chance again to find his exemption. He'll have 2 years from now in the Asian Games, 4 years from now in LA, and I believe maybe one more shot at the Asian Games potentially. Otherwise, he will have to end up serving his military service. And Ben, you can jump in and give more clarity on this. We see it very often, actually. South Korean golfers who end up going to serve in the military, they don't come back the same player as they used to. Of course, Sungjae Im and Siwoo Kim have been able to get it, but like Sang Moon Bae is a great example of that. There are multiple guys who fit in this category. Ben An might actually end up becoming one of those next handful of guys. But you see it with like the K-pop band BTS. They're currently in their service. What they're gonna do, they haven't even thought about coming back to play music afterwards. We don't really know. But for Tom Kim, it's almost essential now that he ends up medaling in the next 2 events. Hopefully in the next two events to avoid it, because again, a lot of these guys go and serve and they just kind of lose the feeling of golf.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing happened to Sung Yul No. You know, Sung Yul No for a long time was considered one of the best like young up and coming players on tour, and he's had a very, very good career. But and look, I am completely uneducated as far as the training that they go through, the rigors, their scheduling of when they have to give their 2 years of service. Because I believe they have until they're 28, right?
31 now.
Oh, 31.
Yeah.
Okay.
They usually start around 28, which is why we're giving the timeline for Kim to be by basically the next Olympics out in LA.
Okay. I mean, look, like a lot of times they don't come back the same player. And whether that's just, I think part of that has to do with just the hiatus from the game because look, when you take 2 years off from something, even when you're really, really good, it's really hard to get back in the swing of things, at least like initially. And as far as the training goes, like how beneficial is it for their golf game as well? Because depending on your sport, that really, your training really matters, like, as well. It was such a, you couldn't help but really the emotion that Tom Kim showed. I mean, it made me teary, honestly, like, because you can tell, like, he, number one, like I said last week, his passion for representing, whether it was in the President's Cup and representing the international team or the Olympics representing South Korea, you can tell his passion is off the charts. And, obviously, yes, like, he wants to medal, he wants to do well. That's also a lot of pressure for someone, because I'm sure in the back of his mind, he knows that statistically it's not in his favor if he does have to serve that 2-year span, that when he does come back, statistically, most likely he's not going to be the same player. And I hate having to say that, but facts are facts, you know, and we have to call it how it is. And I'm not going to make a prediction as to what I think, because I don't want to feed into that. And that kid, he's still a kid, has a lot of pressure on him for sure, in order to make that goal of really not having to serve, like, because it is a goal. That is a goal of a lot of South Koreans, because I went to school with a kid from South Korea. He was an incredible junior golfer, and I mean incredible. I'm not going to say who it was, just because it would be pretty. Yeah, I'm not going to say where he went to school. I'm not going to say what tournaments he won, just because it would be pretty easy to figure out who it was. But literally, his goal, like, it was to medal in, like, the Olympics or, like, the Asian Games, I believe it is. Like, so he didn't have to serve military time. Like, that is a legitimate goal.
Yeah.
And so, especially, like, just the mental trauma that someone that someone suffers as well when they're in the armed forces. I have no idea. Like I said, I have no idea what how different it is in South Korea compared to the United States. But you see all the time, like, these people, they come back from, whether it's the Middle East or wherever, and mentally they're broken, and who knows, like, that has a significant effect on young people as well, and I'm sure a lot of that goes through his mind as well. It was a very, very sad clip, because he's such a likable player, and you can tell, like, he knows his career will have a downward turn if that is the case. It's the truth. It's the truth. And I feel like that's a goal of a lot of those guys, is I gotta medal, so I don't have to do this, and so I can prolong my career. I don't think that that's unfair to say. Like, I would never want to have to go into the, like knowing what I know now, oh my gosh, I would never want to have to go and serve 2 years. Are you kidding me? Like, never. Like,
so it's interesting. I was doing some more Googling, and guys like KJ Choi, for example, actually served before he even went on tour. So he actually served prior to declaring going pro, and then went from there. In a statement on Instagram, Tom Kim tweeted out, message out, I want to, until now, there are no Korean golfers who have Olympic Games every month. So this time, my Korean players ate hard and ran with a burden. But I feel so sorry and more responsible for not doing that. I'm sorry for not getting the desired result, and we'll try harder. He was, again, like literally in tears in the scoring tent, knowing that he wasn't able to get a medal, not only in terms of avoiding his mandate, but also just to honor his country and to serve his country. And Sang Moon Bae has had interviews in the past, and he's talked about it. And the The service isn't anything crazy, considering South Korea hasn't had to, knock on wood, go to war in 60 years. But you do spend 18 months. You're waking up every day at 6 a.m. Sang Moon Bae, prior to being in the military, had never shot a rifle. He learned to shoot a rifle and apparently was pretty good at it. He said, and I quote, I wasn't able to play at all because I was a rifleman. I had a 5 or 6 day holiday every month, but Korea is really cold in the winter. 5 days isn't enough to play, and I was happy in a time to hang out with my family. I didn't have to think about the military. He goes, we didn't shoot every day. It was more of training. We had a lot of running, working out, and military theory. So he studied, wake up at 6 a.m. every day, the same schedule for basically 18 months. You don't have to go and serve front lines or anything. It's a lot more training based. You do it for 20 days at a time. You have your holidays. So it's not as intensive as we make it out to be, although, of course, who wants to be forced into serving in the military. But the one quote that I got from this article that was written by the Augusta Chronicle was Bae said, following his last win, which came at the 40 net championship, he had said, I think my game has gotten a lot better than before. My swing is better, but post service, I've lost my feel how to play golf, not how to swing, just like how to play. And like it's fascinating, like the idea that you're away from your clubs and from the one thing that you're emotionally and physically attached to every moment of your life for 2 years, and the swing doesn't change, but the mentality changes a lot. And I think it's fascinating. Bless you. Talk that Bae had on it. I hope Tom Kim medals. I hope he deserves it at the end of the day. The Asian Games will come around. He'll have both an individual stroke play and a team event, which will likely team up hopefully with Ben or the next best available player in 4 years' time. But he's 22 years old now. He'll be 26 then. Then by LA he'll be 24. Then he'll be 26 by the time LA rolls around. I hope the best for him. I really hope he finds his way. And I know for a fact that with the way the Olympics field always sets up, he should play pretty well, considering the field will not be as strong as you usually see like on tour. And again, he's beaten tougher fields. Yeah. The way I see it. So we're gonna take a short break. On the other side, we're gonna give you the mega breakdown of what's to come at the Wyndham Championship and Sedgefield Country Club. A lot of names on the cut line to miss out on the FedEx Cup playoffs. We'll give you that, all that, and more on the other side.
Hey everyone, it's KB, and I am beyond excited to bring you this breaking news about a new project here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Introducing Light the Flame, an Olympics podcast where all of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia personalities will come together to discuss, banter, and break down the Olympic Games. Coming soon wherever you get your podcasts and on our YouTube channel throughout the 2024 Olympics and beyond.
Welcome back into Get in the Hole. Steve McAvoy here and Ben Pirro. Let's get into the preview of the Wyndham Championship. I keep saying the Wyndham Clark Championship, and whenever I write it, I'm writing Wyndham Clark Championship. It's a horrible drug that I'm consuming. A lot of names that are on the cut line. As of last year, top 70, no longer the top 125, will make it to the FedEx St. Jude in Memphis. With that being said, I want to break down some names that are currently on the cut line. I broke this up into 3 categories. I'm like the guys who are on the bubble, the guys who have a chance, and basically the guys who have no shot. Starting off with Victor Perez, who of course had a terrific final round at the Olympics, shot a 8 under 63. He's 71st, right there on the cut line. Kurt Kitayama, Luke List, Lucas Glover, Keith Mitchell, Nikolai Højgaard all fall in that 70 to 80 range, as well as Ben Coles and Mac Meissner at 81 and 93 respectively. The guys who have a chance to make it, which is actually a very interesting list because it's the mixture of young guys, but also the older fellows on tour. Matt Kuchar at 113, Taylor Montgomery, what happened to his game, at 115, Joel Damon at 117, Daniel Berger at 141, Michael Thorbjornsen, the second PGA Tour card grabber from the PGAU at 135, Webb Simpson, Zach Johnson, and Wesley Bryan all from 149 to 154. And then guys who are basically out of the race for the playoffs, of course, Tiger Woods. Francisco Molinari, Kevin Kisner, Camilo Villegas, Scott Stallings, Justin Suh, and Gary Woodland all fall outside of the top 160. And some breaking news on the program. Ricky Fowler's year is done. He will not tee it up at the Wyndham. He is done for 2024.
Is there a reason why?
I think he's just done with the year. I don't think he wants to. Remember when Justin Thomas played the course here last year, and he was like, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I want to play the Ryder Cup. I want to get there. Yeah, Ricky's not even close to anything. So I think it's a good point to just say fuck it and hang it up. And
what is he in the FedEx Cup standings right now?
I will tell you right now. Let's see.
Because he has not had a good year at all.
No, he's had a abysmal year, which is actually, like, again, talk about like the duality of man, like to go from having a comeback player of the year sort of style and all of a sudden to fall down to this. Where are you? Ricky Fowler. He's 104th, which actually is not as bad as I thought it, which isn't as bad as I thought he'd be. So, like, he very well could have made it. He's only about 300 points off, thereabout. So it would take a top 5, a top 10, but still,
it would take a top 5 because I think you get 300. It would take more than a top 5. I think he'd have to win because you get 500 FedEx Cup points for a win, and I'm pretty sure you get 300 after that for a second. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Let's see. FedEx Cup
and if he's 300, he would have to win.
Points distribution. Yeah, it's 300 points to finish second. But also the nice thing though about an event like this is that you obviously also have guys that are in the top 70 that could also have a really bad week, not get anything, and almost fall in the standings. So guys who are above the cut line but have a chance to fall backwards. Brendan Todd at 70. I'm going to go in order. Sanders Power, Emiliano Grillo, Johnny Vegas, Nick Dunlap, Mark Hubbard, Max Greyersman. Jordan Spieth is only 63rd in the FedEx Cup standings. Minwoo Lee is 62nd. Ben Griffin, Pete Malnati, Taylor Moore, Matt McNeely. Rest in peace, Grayson Murray. He's still listed on here. Eric Van Rooyen, all listed within the top 55, including Victor Hovland as well. So there are guys who could potentially fall out of this race if some guys play relatively well. We'll have to see. But of those names and the way we usually see this event play out, because this is one of those events where it's kind of like the John Deere. It's where the John Deere always has first-time winners. The Wyndham always manages to find itself in 4-man playoffs, guys fighting for their lives, trying to make it to the final. It's almost like one giant Monday queue, which is probably the best quote that I've heard of the week from Ryan French over at Monday Q Info. He says it's basically one big Monday qualifier for the playoffs. What guys do you think have a good shot with the way this golf course plays to get into the field for the playoffs? Whether of the list I mentioned or otherwise.
I think Webb Simpson. I think he's had some success at this golf course. Has he won here? I feel like he's won here before.
He has. Webb Simpson loves this golf course so much he's named his daughter Wyndham.
Okay, so there you go. He's definitely one of them. I could see Daniel Berger having a good week as well. Look, both of those guys, they would probably have to win. I think. I don't know how the points shake out. I could see them having success this week and winning for sure and making a push towards getting the top 70. Matt Kuchar, I just think he is what he is at this point. I don't really think he has a legitimate chance. I think just the game has kind of passed him by a little bit. When you look at guys more immediately on the bubble, I could see someone like Ben Coles. Look, I've talked a lot about this guy. He's been on tour before, but he's lost his card. And look, he's going to keep his card, which is a very big accomplishment, especially when you lose your card twice, I believe it's been. Mm-hmm. So he's a guy I would definitely watch out for sure. Lucas Glover, I hate to break it to you, man. I am not seeing the same Cinderella story as last year with the swampy ass. I am sorry. Still one of the purest ball strikers I've ever seen, though. And look, like look, when you look at the guys that are, Victor Perez, Kirk Kitayama, Luke List, they're right there. Okay, like they don't have to blow the field out of the water to get, they don't have to blow everyone out. They don't have to blow everyone out of the water to get inside that top 70. So those are definitely some guys that I would keep an eye on as well. But yeah, and then the no shot, I don't think category. I'm sorry, I just they've all had a lot of success on tour, but I don't see it. So yeah.
So I actually do think there are three names that pop out to me immediately that I think are going to play well this week. One of which is actually one that you had mentioned. Matt Kuchar's course history at this place is actually really, really, really good. Listen to this. A wild stat that I discovered this morning. He's 46 years old. He's been in the playoffs for 17 straight years. So this would be his first year in 18 years to not make the playoffs. His most recent start at the 3M, he was in contention in the final round. He played very well. He gained 9 strokes on approach at the 3M Open when he played, which is the most he's gained in an event since the 2011 Bob Hope Classic. Just to kind of put that into perspective. 2011, and also the Bob Hope doesn't exist anymore. Or it's under a new name. He's one of those like course fits. I think he has a good shot to at least contend to possibly make it. He's only at 113. He would need a win or a little bit better. A top 5 or better. Whoops, a top 5 or better in order to make it. But with how he played at the 3M, I wouldn't be surprised if a good finish is in store. Somebody else who I'm a fan of, Keith Mitchell, has a lot of really good course stats to fit his game here. Going into the week, he's actually in the field, the best player in strokes gained on approach, gaining over a stroke and a half on the field. He's also top 5 in birdies or better. Birdie or better conversions rates over his last 24 rounds of golf. I'm a little surprised to see Nikolai Højgaard here, being that as good as he's been the whole entire year. Maybe it's because he doesn't play enough on the PGA Tour, and he plays a mixed DP World Tour, PGA Tour bag schedule. But at only 80, he can definitely break his way in, and this is a golf course that should be a layup for him. One name on the outside looking in that I think could actually make a huge splash, he won't win, or he might win. He won't make the playoffs, but as a golf course that he plays incredibly well at, Kevin Kisner has one of the best course histories at Sedgefield Country Club all time. Out of anybody playing in this field, the 3 guys who have the best course fit are surprisingly all the old guys. It's Kevin Streelman, it's Matt Kuchar, Kevin Kisner, and Webb Simpson are the 4 guys who stand out as like the best players and the best fit players at this course. He won in 2021. I think he's got a shot. It's a good situation for him to make a run at things. Of course, though, sitting all the way at 198, there's no shot that he'd be able to make the playoffs. But a good run in him before he heads to the booth full time, I think could be a pretty good ride. We're already an hour in, though, to the show. Let's get right into the beer money pick so we can get you wrapped up and ready to roll for the Wyndham, presented by Kenwood Beer. Who is Kenny? I'll tell you. He's smooth, he's clean, he's bright with a taste of boot. He's the routine choice of folks who want a balanced, flavorful, no-frills beer that is right for any occasion. 120 calories, 8 grams of carbs. Some call it the best light beer they've ever had. We just say you can't beat the original. Head to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Tracker to find where you can get your hands on some ice-cold, refreshing Kennys from your favorite liquor stores in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and now the great state of Delaware, as well as the Wells Fargo Center and beyond. Must be 21 years or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Ben, you're only one back. We're only a week out to the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Top 20. Who you got?
All right, top 20. I'm a little bit surprised he's so far down the odds boards. I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin for my top 20. I don't know. I just feel like his game kind of suits this course. You have to putt well out here, and he's a good putter. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes either. And all I need, Adam, all I need you to do is finish top 20. That's it. Okay. I don't need you to play hero ball or anything. All right. Top 20. We got to catch this guy. Okay. We have to.
I will admit you're slightly getting me nervous, just ever so slightly.
Why? Why? Oh, what? You don't want to play in a dress? Yeah, no one does.
I don't know. We'll see how things go. To be honest with you, I'm surprised with how wide open the odds board actually is going into the week. You can get basically anybody for a top 20, with the exception of Sanjay Im, who currently leads the odds board. So for a top 20, I'm going to ride with. Do I go with guys who need to make a splash, or do I go with the safe hitters? I'm going to go top 20. JT Poston, a former winner at this golf course, for a top 20 at plus 240. Some good money there. Top 10.
All right, top 10. This was a little bit tough for me. I'm not really. I have it narrowed down to 2, and it's basically a coin flip. Give me Davis Thompson for a top 10 finish. That's who I'm going with. Davis Thompson.
I am a fan of the pick. Top 10, I'm going to go with Ben Griffin to finish in a top 10 position. Push his way further into the board in order to get his way into the playoffs. He's sitting at a pretty safe number right now. Let me pull up where exactly he is on those odds boards for a top 10. Plus 550. Really good money odds on a lot of these guys. Top 5.
All right, top 5 for me. I'm gonna go with. Gosh, like I wanted to pick this guy to win, but it's kind of like that Tommy Fleetwood effect, where I just don't trust him. I need to see it to feel more confident. I don't want to say see it to believe it, because I believe he can win. I believe he will win. It's just he hasn't done it yet. You know what? I'm going to scrap it. Min-Woo Lee, top 5. That's what I'm going with.
I dig it.
If you're interested in knowing who I was going to pick originally, it was going to be Cameron Young, but I was just like, I've picked him for so many things, so many times, and I just kind of feel fatigued by it. So I'm just going to go with Min-Woo Lee. So yeah,
I think I've also officially sworn off Tommy Fleetwood and Cameron Young officially in my picks until they win. My top 5, I'm going to go with an older fellow. I'm going to kind of shake things up a little bit. I started young. I'm going to go old. He's at finishes at T6 and T7 at his 2 most recent starts at the Rocket Mortgage and the John Deere. Last year he finished T14 at the Wyndham. I think he can make a really good run at a title here. Older guys, like I said, those earlier 4 course fits are all much older players. Older veterans seem to be commonplace here. Eric Cole for a top 5, as you can get him at 11-1 plus 1,100 for a top 5. I love that play. I'm going to ride that home. Your gimme pick this week.
All right, my gimme pick this week. I'm going to go. Will Zalatoris outside the top 20. If you can even bet that, can you?
You can't, but we can make it happen. My pick. Jeez, man. I'm gonna go Lucas Glover. No, not Lucas Glover. No. I'm gonna go Matt Kuchar top 40.
All right, that's fine.
I don't know if he's going to make a big run, but at the very least, if he can make the cut, I think he'll be at least in somewhat contention to at least finish around there. Your winning pick at the Wyndham, not named Wyndham Clark.
Yeah. All right. It's pretty simple for me. I'm going to go with Siwoo Kim. Look, I mean, the odds boards are pretty much wide open this week. I mean, for God's sake, Billy Horschel's second on the odds boards. And I get it. He's had a nice renaissance year to his career. I'm very, very happy for him. He's a great guy, but that just shows how wide open these odds boards are. So that's what I'm going to go with Siwoo Kim.
Did you see the thing about Billy Horschel at the Open? And he wore, so he's sponsored by BDO, like advisors, but the hat, it's usually like two-tone, and there's like a line that looks like an L, and then it's BDO, and it's usually a red line and then the white letters. But they gave him a hat, and it was all white, and it looked like libido, LBDO. And when you look up LBDO, it directs you to a adult entertainment like website and like toy site. And apparently they advertise on the PGA Tour network. So libido was getting like 8 times the internet activity than BDO was while Billy Horschel was leading at the Open a couple weeks ago. I thought that was hilarious. My winning pick this week. Do I go old or do I go young?
Go with old. Do it.
So I'm between 4 names. And to be honest with you, like while I wouldn't feel bad with taking Sanjay M here because the odds board is so tight there anyways, and you can get basically anybody. So I'm between taking Sanjay M. I like Brian Harman this week. I like Akshay at +1 at where is he? At plus 3,500. Cameron Davis fits here. I think Aaron Rai fits here. I also like Billy Horschel, somebody who's kind of like right there in the middle. I'm gonna go alternate to you though of your Korean counterpart, and I'm gonna actually go with Sanjay M. He has not won a golf event in a long time, and I'm actually like surprised to understand that. It's been a long time for him. He finished T3 at the Travelers, finished T4 at the Scottish, T7 at the Open. In his past 24 rounds, he's ranked 7th in the field in strokes gained, approaching 3rd in birdies or better percentage conversion. He has 3 top 10s at this golf course. He's finished no worse than 24th. He plays really well at this golf course. He putts extremely well on those Bermuda grass greens. He leads the odds board, and it makes sense why. I think it's going to show when he wins this week at Sedgefield.
Awesome.
That's going to do it. Nice long show, but you know what? A lot of really great info to be backed up. That's been episode 166 of the Get in the Hole podcast. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course on YouTube at Underground Sports PHI. We're nearing that 1,000 subscriber mark. We're getting right towards the monetization point. Get us there. Support your favorite creators across the Underground Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter at Get in the Hole Pod. And of course, for any insight into the world of golf, follow our personals. We're always posting about it. Ben had a really nice photo on his Instagram the other day that I was like, whew, looking pretty damn good. It's the new pro pick, by the way. I saw that.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
Who did that photo? It was really good.
My mom took it of me.
Let's go, Deb. I love it. By the way, dude, your hair is looking great. I'm debating if I want to grow my hair out, but I'm not at that point yet where I'm confident in it.
So that picture was before my haircut. My hair is starting to grow back in.
I still like it though.
Also, if you guys want any cool hats, you guys should go check out Sideline Cowboy. I'm an ambassador, so
no free ads. I'm waiting for the day that you get on the side of your bag Sideline Cowboy, just like draped all over it.
I will say, though, they are the most comfortable hats out there on the market. So if you guys are interested, definitely say that I sent you there.
Let's coordinate a sponsorship spot for Sideline Cowboy. That's going to be episode 166 for Ben Pirro and Steve McAvoy. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!